The notice requirement provided for the open public meeting law has been satisfied. Notice was properly given, said notice having been transmitted
Recording in
to the
progress.
Courier News on Friday, January 6, 2023, as well as posting on the city website. Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham.
Present.
Councilman Good. Councilman Hockaday.
Present.
Councilman McKenna.
Present.
Councilman Wyatt.
Present.
Let the record reflect that Councilman Wyatt is present remotely. Vice President Briggs Jones.
Present.
Council President McCray.
Present.
We have all members present and a quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all those who work for justice and peace. Amen.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 12th, 2023?
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have a discussion item. The floor is now open for a public hearing on the calendar year 2023 Plainfield introduced budget as advertised. Is there anyone remotely?
There is a person remotely, but no one here.
May I have a motion to close public hearing?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Consideration of public hearing, second reading and final passage. We have ordinance MC 2023-16 through MC 2023-23, which are scheduled for public hearing and final passage for the regular meeting as advertised. We come to public comments limited to resolutions, motions, and ordinance to be introduced on first reading. A total of 30 minutes has been allocated for public comments, limited to resolutions and ordinances being considered this evening. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. If any member of the public would like to call in for public comments, please dial 646-558-8656. Enter the meeting ID 938-3643-9534. Dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. The floor is now open. Floor is now closed. Legislative body, we have Resolution 252 to 23 through 254-23. Do I have a consensus to add these items to the voting meeting?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Would the business administrator please present her items?
Yes, thank you, Council President. We have 2 resolutions this month. Both of them are granting advice and consent to mayoral appointments. The first one is Christine Exum to the Plainfield Planning Board, and the other one is to Terrell Hockaday for the ABC Board.
Mr. Hockaday, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Mr. Wyatt, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. McKenna?
No questions.
Councilman Graham?
No questions.
Councilman Good? Madam Vice President?
No questions.
Do I have consensus to place these on the consent agenda?
Yes. Yes.
No. The one with Terrell Hockaday, I'd like that removed from the consent agenda so we can vote on that individually.
Okay,
I intend to abstain.
all right, well, got that?
Council President, before you move to Department of Finance, if you don't mind, I would like to remove from the floor 2 of the resolutions that are on the finance agenda. That
Okay.
would be the Chapter 159, R 257-23, and the Plainfield Municipal Budget Adoption, R 258-23.
Okay,
I hope to be back to you with them shortly.
okay.
That was 258 and 259?
257.
258 and 257 and 258.
Okay. Will the Department of Finance Director please present their items?
Council President, there's one remaining item, and it's a refund of a disabled veteran exemption of his property taxes.
Mr. Hockaday, any questions?
There are none.
Mr. Wyatt?
No question.
Mr. McKenna?
No, sir.
Mr. Graham?
No questions.
Mr. Good? Madam Vice President?
No questions.
Do I have authorization to add these to the consent agenda?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Add, please. Would the Director of Public Works please present his items?
Yes, good evening, Council President, council members. The Department of Public Works has 7 resolutions to present. Resolution 260-23, resolution of support for the County of Union to provide 5 intersection improvement projects on East Front Street, East 7th Street, and West 7th Street. Resolution 26123, resolution authorizing change order, amount of $10,543.31, and 51227 for retainage and final payment. Resolution 26223, resolution authorizing professional service contract for Noni to install charging stations at City Hall in a total amount of $64,500. Resolution 26323, resolution authorizing submitting a grant application for traffic light at the corner of Randolph and Central Avenue. Resolution 26423 is approval to submit a grant application, execute a grant of New Jersey Department of Transportation for the West Front Street roadway resurfacing project. Resolution 26523, resolution authorizing the award of professional service contract to Think Wilder in the amount of $70,250 for architectural services. Resolution 26623, resolution authorizing approval for the lien placements for the cleanup of 13 properties totaling $12,219.72.
Councilman Hockaday?
Yes. First, most of these resolutions are for grant applications, so it's always good to see us continue to solicit that funding to defray the cost to taxpayers for these different items, all things that are germane to the city. So we appreciate that. With regards to 26523, I see here we're moving to phase 2 of architectural designs out of 3 phases. So if you could just speak a little bit about phase 1, how that went. We have continued confidence in the service of Think Wilder, but I'd like to hear it from your perspective, Director.
Yes, what they're doing, everything, phase 1 was for pre-design and survey work that was done, field surveys, et cetera, and that was 50% completed. They did 100% of the field survey, uploading photos and the field survey. That was 100% done, but the pre-design of everything was 50% complete, completed by them. So they've been moving pretty well with everything we're trying to do to meet deadlines with the project.
Okay. What components of that are you able to share with us? If any, can you just email me or whoever other council members that want to see?
Yes,
what-
anything, as the progress continues, yes, we'll send you everything in terms of how progress is being made with programs, et cetera. Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Councilman Wyatt?
Yes, just one question. Okay, it was on the charging stations. We still doing 25?
Yes, we're looking to do 21, but in time it'll be up to 25, yes.
Okay, and the vehicles that we're purchasing, are they fully electric or hybrid?
Those are hybrid vehicles that we're purchasing.
Okay, when you get an opportunity, can you just send the council the amount that we spend on fuel?
That's not a problem. Records are kept for all of that, always, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. No further questions.
Councilman McKenna?
No questions.
Councilman Graham?
Yeah, regarding, hi, Director, how are you? Regarding 263-23, are we also looking into a traffic light for the corner of the intersection of Plainfield Ave and Randolph?
Well, see, everything's done with the studies that we're doing, and sometimes that's the county road, so we gotta look at parts of that with the county. We have some on here that are going to go in parts of Plainfield, that are county intersections. So that's something that to be looked at. We're looking at everything we can do to make things better. But right now, this is the only thing that qualified under the traffic study for a traffic light at this time.
Okay, so I guess at some point, because I just feel like Randolph Road and Plainfield Avenue is a better suited intersection for a traffic light as opposed to Central and Randolph. But, you're the expert, not me, so,
But so, Councilman, study was done. That was included, but that wasn't part of it. And that's the county road. That would have to come through them with that. So when everything was done with the study, this came out to be pretty much the best road for that.
All right, thank you. Just wanted some clarification.
May I add something? And just by way of an update, I heard what Director said, but we did have conversations with the county, and they did look at Plainfield Avenue and Randolph Road. On the other side is Sheridan. They also looked at Plainfield Avenue and West 8th Street and West 8th, because there are accidents there like almost every month. And they were, based on the traffic history of accidents, they both qualify, and we're in conversations with the county about putting traffic lights at those two intersections as well.
That is awesome news, Council President. Thank you.
Councilman Good?
Thank you, Council President. In regards to 264-23, Director,
Yes.
when are we looking at this as a completed project?
Which project is that?
264-23, the improvements on Front Street?
Oh, that's a project. We should be doing that if we vote on this within the next few months, weather permitting.
An estimate time of when you would like for it to be completed. I'm pretty sure everyone here, all of my colleagues, have been asked several times when are certain things going to be done with Front Street, because the roads are pretty bad.
Right. And this is the part between Watchung and Plainfield Avenue. So this is not part of Route 28. Route 28 is something separate and apart. That's being worked on now, and design is being done with all that. So to answer your question with this, within the next several months, weather permitting, this should be completed, this portion right here, between Watchung and Plainfield Avenue.
Director, as always, thank you. Appreciate you.
Council President, may I also add that through the lobbying on our behalf by Assemblywoman Linda Carter and Senate President Nick Scutari, we have $7 million of grant funds that will be spent on almost the entire stretch of Route 28, starting from at about Plainfield Avenue, going to the border with our neighbors.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure everyone will be extremely excited about that news. Council President, that's all from me.
That's good.
Council, Madam Vice President,
No questions. That's good.
do I have consensus to add these to the consent agenda?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One opposed.
Which one?
265-23.
265-23, okay. Come in. Okay. Would the Director of Economic Development please present her items?
Good evening, Council President. I have 8 resolutions to present, starting with Resolution 267-23, going to 268-23. These are both New Jersey Department of Transportation grants looking to provide funding to support the implementation of the North Avenue Pedestrian Mall. The first one is a grant from the Transit Village program. The next one is in support of a grant for the Safe Routes to Transit program. The next resolution is for the designation and authorization for the redevelopment agreement for 140 East 7th Street LLC. This is to do a mixed-use development in our Arts District where it will have residential units as well as live-work spaces, include commercial area as well as off-street parking. The next 2 resolutions are in support of moving forward with funding from the Urban Enterprise Zone Authority. The first one is in support of $100,000 from the UEZ Authority. This is going to be supplemented with funding that was previously passed by council for $30,000 for our parking system management consultant, THA Consulting Incorporated. The next resolution is for an additional $100,000 from the UEZ Authority, and this is for our public realm design consultant, Arterial LLC. Both will be a total of $130,000 for consultant fees, so $30,000 coming from the city budget and $100,000 each coming from the UEZ. The next resolution is looking to restate an amendment for a redevelopment and land disposition agreement. This is with the Urban Renewal LP. This is looking at the stormwater equities properties or otherwise looking at 611 West Front Street. This is just extending the deadline of the redevelopment agreement so they have additional time to move towards the government approval process. The next resolution is to support a redevelopment plan study for the block of 606 as well as all of the lots that are listed here. The purpose of this redevelopment study is to seek the information or assessment to look at a possible amendment to a redevelopment plan or an additional development of a redevelopment plan. The last one is looking for the return of a performance guarantee for 829 South Avenue. The construction is now complete, so the return of the performance guarantee of $154,000 and $900.61 and $61.10. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Councilman Hockaday?
Similar to the Department of Public Works, I just want to give kudos for continuing to seek grant monies, especially with respect to the pedestrian plaza. We recently had an event in that area on July 5th, sort of sort of a makeup for what we weren't able to do on July 4th because of all the rain and the flooding that we had. But we were able to utilize that area. It was well attended under short notice. But I couldn't help but think what would have been if we were fully invested in that area. We can continue to bring quality entertainment and experiences to our residents. But anytime I see the administration continuing to work and cultivate in that area, that is a good thing for me. So I just want to commend the administration and your department for doing that. I don't have any other further inquiries. So.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes, just two questions here. On the, was it 269-23? How many units are they proposing?
90 units.
And will they be at market rate?
Will there be parking? Market rate, yes, these are market rate units. They are looking into pursuing affordable units, but we do not have that breakdown yet. That will come with the financial agreement.
Okay, so do you usually designate a percentage for affordable housing?
That will come through the financial negotiation, so we'll have that number when we come back.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Councilman McKenna.
Yes, regarding 267-23, what additional design do we have to have done? Didn't we already do a design that was presented to the public and the planning board and the council?
Yes, we have a concept plan. Now we need to move it into final design and the engineering for construction documents.
So the prior designs were just conceptual and not...
Conceptual plans, but for the DOT, you have to have final construction documents.
Okay, and the 268-23, are those funds required to be spent in the North Avenue pedestrian area with respect to safe transit?
Yes.
Okay, and last question. Regarding 272-23, they had 12 months to complete from final site plan approval. How far along are they?
So this one, they needed the extension because they have not presented to the planning board yet for site plan approval.
Okay, so they've gone through technical review?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Graham.
No questions.
Councilman Good.
None for me either, sir.
Council, Madam Vice President.
No questions.
Do I have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Opposed? 267-23, 269-23, and 272-23.
That's 267, 269, and 270? 272. 267, 269, 272.
Okay. Would the Director of Health and Social Services please present his items?
Good evening, Council President. I have 7 items to present tonight. The first one is a grant application for lead grant assistance in the amount of $80,000. R27623 is a resolution for an agreement between the city and the county, Union County, in order for us to continue to receive HUD funds. 27723 is a memorandum of agreement with New Jersey Medical School. They do tuberculosis testing. 27823 is a grant application for $220,886. That is through our community affairs division of DCA. 27923 is a grant application for $34,636. 280-23 is also a grant application for $50,000. And 281-23 is a grant application for $101,392.
Councilman Hockaday.
Yes, regarding 275-23. Is this an ongoing program that we get every year, or is this just a one-time?
This is the first time that we've received this.
First time?
Yes.
So how are we gonna get the notifications out to residents if we're successful in getting this grant?
So this grant is actually to support paying for the lead inspectors, so it supplements their salaries.
Okay, so it's not direct to
No.
residents? It's
No,
just
sir.
to provide services to them? All right, thank you. Nothing further.
Councilman Wyatt.
No questions.
Councilman McKenna.
No questions.
Councilman Graham.
No questions.
Councilman Good.
Record determines, 280-23 determines the amount for the food and shelter program. I'm just curious about the amount, the 50,000.
So that is our the amount that we customarily get. It goes through a committee process. So FEMA sends the money directly down to the county, and the county, through discussions and based on the work that we've done previously, as well as our demographics and population, determines.
Do you anticipate that going higher?
I would like for it to go higher, but there's no way for me to tell it's based on what we submit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Council, Madam Vice President.
No questions.
Do I have consensus to add these items to the voting meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any objections? Would the Director of Communications and Technology please present her items?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I have one resolution for consideration this evening. It's a resolution authorizing the City of Plainfield to enter into a service agreement with JCT Solutions to create a smart city within Plainfield for Phase 1 for an amount not to exceed $1.9 million and 97,613.
Mr. Hockaday.
Sure. So this is an awesome thing for us to create a smart city. It will further bolster the services of the pedestrian plaza. So, you know, I'm excited about the prospect of bringing these services and you know, leveraging the county's fiber optic network as well. You know, I'm not into pricing this particular type of thing, so I don't necessarily have a sense of the pricing of it. So maybe someone can just talk about the cost, because it is a relatively big number, and just talk about the value that the city is getting for this type of solution.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman. What I will say is that the pricing is directly in line with what we've seen with fiber optic solution across municipalities and across other counties. The vendor that we're using, that we're giving the contract to, was vetted by Union County, and we are awarding this contract under the co-op agreement with Union County. The value it provides, as you stated, it's going to put us in a different, on a different level as a municipality. Phase 1 is really building an infrastructure. So think about if you're building a home and you have the foundation, we're going to be laying the fiber all across the city. That's going to give us the opportunity to put numerous add-ons and numerous components that that will service the citizens. For example, and we've said it before, right? Free Wi-Fi in public areas. We see that in some of our more developed cities. It's also going to give us an added layer of safety, because it's going to complement what the police currently has in terms of camera coverage across the city. In our public parks, we'll have more lighting and more safety features. One of the things that you will see, especially in phase 2, not so much phase 1, is what we call the blue light cameras for people who don't have access to cell phones, who will be able to use these blue light phones to get directly in touch with our safety, police or fire if there's an emergency. So there are so many different components that we can choose to use or not use. It all depends on, but the most important thing is phase 1, which is where we are right now, which is laying the infrastructure so that we can build on it.
Thank you for that.
You are welcome.
Nothing further.
Councilman Wyatt?
Yes. I would first like to say it's great to see that phase 1 is beginning. This is tremendous for the city of Plainfield. Question that I do have is, while we lay the infrastructure, will this create job opportunities?
I think it's a very highly specialized job, which is why we're giving it to the vendor. Maybe someone from that company could speak to that, but especially within phase 1, I'm not sure what type of manpower will be needed. That is something, we have representatives from JCT here, perhaps they could answer that question for us.
Do we have any presentation?
Oh, no, there's no presentation, I just thought that he could speak to that question. Is that okay with your permission? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm Steve Mullen, president of JCT Solutions. As part of the rules and the contract we have with Union County or Union County Co-op, it's mandatory that we use IBW Local 102 labor to do this work. We must pay prevailing wage, and that's the rules of the Union County Co-op, and we're obligated to that. Doing fiber optic network in the street is a state law that we must use union labor and pay prevailing wage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. McKenna?
Yeah, I just have one question. It might be more public works than communications. The blue lights are a great idea, but will it include removing the old emergency poles that we have all over town that have not been used in years? Nice to kind of get rid of the old hardware with the new.
Honestly, I don't have an immediate answer for you, but I can find out and I can get back to you on that. You're welcome.
Anything else? Councilman?
No, I'm sorry.
Councilman Graham?
Yes, Director. This project appears to be all-inclusive. And when I was looking at the snapshot from JCT Solutions, I just had a few questions regarding the splash page and the unified communication throughout the city. Will that replace our reported app?
No, it won't. The splash page is going to be, think of if you go to a hotel, when you sign into their network, there's a page that pops up that says, like, welcome to Marriott or whatever. The splash page is like that. When someone logs into our public Wi-Fi, they will see this page that says, welcome to the city of Plainfield, public Wi-Fi. We can choose what information we want to give on that splash page, but it's really an outgoing mechanism. It's not something to receive information like the reported app.
And this project also entails the license plate readers, and we have that currently. Will this replace the technology that we already have?
Well, eventually it might, but I will say that we're moving very cautiously. When it comes to public safety, we don't want to compromise anything. So initially it will complement what is there, and we'll do an evaluation as we go along as to whether it makes sense to do away with that and have it totally on this platform. but it's something that's going to require evaluation as we roll it out. It will definitely complement and add an extra, it will give us more coverage across the city than we currently have.
And my last question, this project also comes with gunshot detection. We have that, and same question applies. Will this technology that we're getting, will that replace what we already have and what we already paid for?
And it's the same answer. We'll evaluate it and see if it's, obviously accuracy is important and things like that. So right now, when we implement it, it will work alongside what we have. Eventually it might, but we want to move very cautiously where that is concerned, and we want to make sure that we're working in lockstep with the police department.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Good?
This is some pretty smart stuff.
Madam Vice President,
Help me. No questions.
do I have a consensus to add these items to the voting meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Would the business administrator please present the ordinances listed on first reading?
I will. Okay, we have an ordinance just amending our current floodplain ordinance, and as you see, we're just adding some of the fees onto the ordinance. The second one is an ordinance updating the salary and wage ordinance for the Firemen Mutual Benevolent Association, FMBA. And I had attached to that ordinance the arbitrator's decision, which is the reason for this salary ordinance. So those are contractual numbers. And then the third ordinance we have has 8 additional four-way stops that we would like to put in as part of the traffic calming measures that we are pursuing.
Do we have a consensus to add these to the voting meeting? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any objections? I now move for a motion for a 5-minute recess. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. 5 minutes.
Recording in progress.
Motion to return. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. If any member of the public would like to call in for public comments on this ordinance, please dial 646-558-8656.
Council President, we're on public hearing on the ordinance on first reading. I'm sorry, you're correct. You're correct. Go ahead. I apologize.
Enter the meeting ID 938-3643-9534. Dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. Introduction, Mr. Clerk, could you please read?
I'll let her read.
MC 2023-16 is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Plainfield authorizing a transfer of membership of redeveloper pursuant to that certain financial agreement and redevelopment agreement between the City of Plainfield and 1112 North Urban Renewal LLC, and authorizing the execution of an assignment and assumption agreement in connection therewith. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
Do we have a consensus to push this on the regular? No, this is the regular meeting.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yep. Open the floor to the public.
Yes. Sorry. The floor is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance?
What's the ordinance again? 16?
May I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance?
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage? And if adopted, the ordinance shall be.
Seconded.
May I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No.
Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones, Vice President Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. Ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Mr. Clerk, can you please read MC 2023-17 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements?
MC 2023-17 is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 17, the Land Use Ordinance of the City of Plainfield, by adding Article 9, Section 17:9-30A, Food Vehicles. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. Do we have anyone virtually? May I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance?
Moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any objections? May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Move.
And if adopted, the ordinance shall be
Seconded.
published as required by law.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
It's moved by Councilman Wyatt, seconded by Councilman Hockaday. Roll call on MC 2023-17. And Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good. Yes. Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray. That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Mr. Clerk, please read MC 2023-18 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements.
MC 2023-18 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 17, the Land Use Ordinance of the City of Plainfield, to remove Section 17:3-15, Contribution Disclosure Statements. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. May I have a motion to close public hearing on this ordinance?
Moved.
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage? And if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
So moved.
May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Clerk?
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
No.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Was that a yes?
No.
He said no.
Yes.
Yes. Vice President Brooks Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Mr. Clerk, please read MC 2023-19 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements.
MC 2023-19 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 6, Article 3, Section 9, Exterior Doors in Commercial Buildings, and Section 9, Windows in Commercial Buildings, to prohibit the use of iron or steel bars or gates on commercial building exterior doors and windows. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. May I have a motion to close public hearing on this ordinance?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage?
So moved.
And if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
Second.
I'm sorry, Council President, over here. Can I ask one quick question on this ordinance? And for our attorney, how do we protect this ordinance from our zoning board? Meaning, if one should feel the need that they need a variance to have gates, how do we protect this ordinance from that?
Well, certainly Certainly, we can never deny anyone the opportunity to file an application for a zoning variance. But it will be incumbent upon that board and in consultation with its attorney to determine whether or not it's an appropriate application. So unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to protect it, as you say. I think when you say protect, meaning to bar it from going before the zoning board. But ultimately, those applications are going to be reviewed, individually.
Thank you.
MC 2023-19, moved by Councilman Wyatt, seconded by Councilman Good. Roll call, Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Mr. Clerk, please read MC 2023-20 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publications requirements.
MC 2023-20 is an ordinance of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union, granting a tax exemption with respect to certain property identified on the city's tax map as Block 704, Lot 2, and designated in the city tax records as 111-27 West 4th Street, Plainfield, New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 111 West 4th Street Urban Renewal, LLC. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. May I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage? And if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
So moved.
May I have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk? Or Madam, Mr. Clerk. Clerk.
Thank you.
The clerks.
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday. Yes. McKenna.
No.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Couldn't determine if that was a yes or a no.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Madam Clerk, please read MC 2023-21 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements.
MC 2023-21 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 17, the Land Use Ordinance of the City of Plainfield, by implementing hours of operation for retail cannabis businesses in Article 9, Section 17:9-24A, E9, cannabis-related businesses. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. Here now, none. May I have a motion to close public comments on this ordinance?
Moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage? And if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Madam Clerk, please read MC 2023-22 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements.
MC 2023-22 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Article 24, Chapter 9, Licenses, Permits, and Regulated Activities, Motorized Sport Bikes and Related Vehicles to include dispensing fuel requirements and reporting. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close public comments on hearing on this ordinance?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage? And if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
Madam Clerk, please read MC 2023-23 by title and further certify that the ordinance has complied with all statutory publication requirements.
MC 2023-23 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 16, Article 7 for a four-way stop intersection, Plainfield Avenue and West 3rd Street, Hillside Avenue and Putnam Avenue, Charlotte Road and Belvedere Avenue, Putnam Avenue and Richmond Street, Randolph Road and Field Avenue, Randolph Road and Central Avenue. Additionally, to amend the ordinance to include a three-way stop intersection at Bradford Street and Grace Place of the City Code for the City of Plainfield. It is hereby certified that notice of a public hearing on this ordinance was published in the Courier News on June 16, 2023.
The floor is now open to any member of the public who would like to speak on this ordinance.
Greetings, members. I'm Brian Price, 198 Reeve Terrace.
Name and address, please.
Brian Price, 198 Reeve Terrace. I have some questions. I drive all over the place, but I noticed we have a lot of stop signs, four-way stop signs going on. I had questions about Charlotte and Putnam and Hillside. Can you explain the abundance of four-way stop signs going up in the city? As I think the lady said, traffic measures? Traffic calming measures, yes.
Who from the administration would like to answer that?
Well, let me take a shot at that. We have heard from our residents over and over again about speeding, people endangering the life and safety of our residents, and constantly we get complaints about speeding. And so, based on traffic studies and other information, we see a need for not less but more four-way and three-way intersections so as to slow traffic down and enhance the safety of the public. And so this has proven to work very well. And as we speak to our residents on almost a daily basis, when we have block association meetings, this keeps coming up and it's being requested more and more from our residents. And so I can promise you, you'll see more, not less.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor or Council President, what do I say?
Mayor.
Mayor.
Yeah, he's the
And
council
so
president.
I want to go back to Putnam. Where is this here? Anyway, Putnam, so you want to put you're proposing to put a four-way stop between Putnam and Hillside, is that correct, on here? So would it be, there's already speed bumps, is that what I say, would that be redundant of slowing the traffic?
Is that a question? Yeah. It's no back and forth.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right.
Seeing no more, is there anyone else? May I have a motion to close public comment hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any objections? May I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on second reading and final passage, and if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law?
So moved.
May I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That is unanimous. Ordinance has been adopted on second reading and final passage.
We now come to public comments limited to resolutions, motions, and ordinance to be introduced on first reading. A total of 30 minutes has been allocated for the public comments limited to resolutions and ordinances being considered this evening. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. If any member of the public would like to call in for public comments, please dial 646-558-8656. Enter the meeting ID 938-3643-9534. Dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. This information can be found on the city website as well as the YouTube channel. The floor is now open.
Nancy Pugh, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. It's not for, or it's not against any of these resolutions, but R-275-23 and R-282-23 are sort of related because recently, most people think of lead, a problem with lead is paint and pipes. But just within this past week, if anybody read the Wall Street Journal, I only read the headlines, it's been online. And one of the council members mentioned it with the Smart City Grant, that we're an older city and we should also consider the cable wires because they also, anything put up before the 1950s, according to the Wall Street Journal study that they did, has lead in it. So we should be concerned about removing some of those wires if and when the smart city happens, or in the future, we should think about that. Because if you read that Wall Street Journal article, it could be a cause of why we also have a lead problem in town, because we have older wires. And I, for one, when a wire went down in my neighborhood, I complained to the Board of Public Utilities to get somebody to remove it, because these wires should not, once people move away, they shouldn't just be hanging out on the streets and things like that, because they do put lead into the ground according to the Wall Street Journal article. Thank you.
Seeing no more for public comments, may I have a motion to close public comments? On ordinances and resolutions that are on the agenda for tonight.
On the number 8?
No, we're not at number 8, no. May I have a motion?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Mr. Clerk, would you please announce the consent agenda?
I will try. Resolutions 252-23 through 255-23, Resolution 259-23 through 264-23, Resolution 266, 268, 270, 271, and Resolutions 282 through 273. Removed or on the non-consent agenda items are Resolutions 256-23, 265-23, 267-23, 269-23, and 272-23. And the administration has pulled Resolutions 257 and 258 from the agenda for consideration.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Are you the second?
Second.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call on the consent agenda items. Council members Graham?
Yes.
Good?
Yes.
Hockaday?
Yes.
McKenna?
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt? Councilman Wyatt?
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones?
Yes.
Council President McCray?
Yes.
That is unanimous. The consent agenda items have been approved.
Mr. Clerk, could you please read the non-agenda items? non-consent denied.
Resolution 25623, granting advice and consent to the appointment of Terrell Hockaday to the ABC Board.
May I have a roll call, please?
Motion and a second.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
Second. Second? Second,
Seconded.
okay. May I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Abstention.
McKenna,
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 abstention. Resolution's been approved.
Okay.
Resolution 26523, authorizing the award of a professional services contract to Think Wilder.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
May I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No.
Councilman Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. Resolution's been adopted. Resolution 267, authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execution of a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the North Avenue Pedestrian Plaza Project via the Transit Village Grant Program.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
Seconded.
May I get a roll call?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No.
Councilman Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That's 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Resolution's been approved. Resolution 269, a resolution designating 140 East 7th Street LLC as redeveloper and authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement.
I have a motion, please.
Moved.
Seconded.
May I have a roll call?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
Hockaday,
Yes.
McKenna,
No.
Councilman Wyatt,
No.
Vice President Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. Resolution's been adopted. And Resolution 27223, authorizing a First Amendment to amend and restated the redevelopment and land disposition agreement with SWE Plainfield Development Urban Renewal LP.
Motion.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Councilman Good,
Yes.
Councilman Hockaday,
Yes.
Councilman McKenna,
No.
Councilman Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed. Resolution's been adopted. That concludes the resolutions, Council President.
We now come to ordinance on first reading. Ms. Clerk, will you please read MC 2023 by title?
MC 2023-24 is an ordinance authorizing the City Council to amend and supplement Article 13 Fees, Chapter 17:13-17, Special Flood Hazard Area Fees of the Plainfield Municipal Code.
I will now entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham,
Yes.
Councilman Good.
Yes.
Councilman Hockaday.
Yep.
Councilman McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
This ordinance has been introduced on first reading. It was unanimous.
Madam Clerk, please, will you read MC 2023-25 by title?
MC 2023-25 is an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield, New Jersey, 1971, Salary Amendment, Firemen Mutual Benevolent Association, Local 7, FMBA.
I will now entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been introduced on first reading.
Mr. Clerk, Madam Clerk, will you please read MC 2023-26 by title?
MC 2023-26 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 16, Article 7 for a four-way stop intersection, Field Avenue and Stell Avenue, Sheridan Avenue and Spooner Avenue, Sherman Avenue and Stillman Avenue, Pemberton Avenue and Stillman Avenue, West 4th Street and Liberty Street, South End Parkway and Florence Avenue, Myrtle Avenue and Brokaw Boulevard, and Myrtle Avenue and DeKalb Avenue.
I will now entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Graham.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Hockaday.
Yes.
McKenna.
Yes.
Councilman Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice President Briggs Jones.
Yes.
Council President McCray.
Yes.
That is unanimous. This ordinance has been introduced on first reading.
General comments. A total of 60 minutes has been allocated for all public comments to be presented. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes. If any member of the public would like to call in for public comments, please dial 646-558-8658. Enter the meeting ID 938-3643-9534. Dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. This information can be found on the city website as well as the YouTube channel. The floor is now open.
Greetings again. State my name. Brian Price, 198 Reeve Terrace. 4 comments, again, relating back to the traffic calming measures. As I travel through the neighborhood cities, the speed bumps have different measures or height. So, for example, in South Plainfield, it says a hump, 15 miles an hour. I barely feel it when I go over the regular speed limit. When I come here to Plainfield, I see the same notice that says 15 mile an hour speed hump or bump, whatever you like to call it. There's a difference in the measure. I like for the city council, whoever, to research that, to see why they both say the same, but the difference in running over the bumps are different in measure. Secondly, I don't, on my block on 3rd, I know the city did a whole resurfacing on 3rd Street up to Leland, but has not gone through to Carroll Road. So I'd like to find out if that's happening in the future. That is a very popular bicycle path that we travel from the east and go up to the Watchung Mountains, so that road is pretty rough and bumpy. Thirdly, I had a conversation with Dr. Russell Brown. He's still practicing. And at the end of the conversation, I asked him what I can do. And he said, can you call someone in the city about repainting his the red zone where no parking is. The yellow has faded. He's concerned about that intersection because there was a horrific accident there some years ago. So I'd like to pass it on to public safety. I think it's 9th and Arlington. And finally, I'm really proud of the town. We have a lot of famous folks from here, and as I travel through cities like Denver and Ohio and other places, they have Walk of Fames. Other neighboring cities have flags with their heroes. So I'm suggesting somehow we do a Walk of Fame in our town with our noted folks. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy Fever, 1129 Myrtle Avenue. I agree with Mr. Price. Some of us suggested that years ago. I could give you a list of the Walk of Fame through the town. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here tonight. Last week, I had an incident in South Plainfield on the railroad tracks, and it made me think about the history of Plainfield and everything that you all do. Some of the decisions that you make, you don't even realize will have an impact 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years from now. I was on the railroad tracks in South Plainfield, or heading toward the railroad tracks on Clinton Avenue, toward New Market Road, and the traffic was backed up. And I was completely taken aback and frightened to death because people actually stopped on the grade crossing. They had their cars on the grade crossing. It's a signaled area. I did contact the mayor. He did respond back to me. But Plainfield should be very grateful that back in 1874, John Tyler Johnson, who was the president of the Central Jersey Railroad, made a decision, and probably with the city council and the mayors, to raise our railroad tracks. Could you imagine what the traffic would be if we had to stop every time a train came through when somebody didn't have forward thinking, like smart city? I mean, I'm still shaking from being there, seeing people stop on railroad tracks. I couldn't believe it. If a train had been coming by, I stopped where I was supposed to stop. Other people didn't. I would have been killed too if a train came by because there was no way anybody was going to get out of the way. I mean, it was that horrific to see and to experience, and I probably won't go that way again for a long time. And I'm just grateful that city council people back in the day, the mayor, the city administration did the right thing and raised our railroad tracks. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone on?
We have 2 people virtual.
Public in-person comment is closed. We'll now move to virtual.
Caller ending in 828, please give your name and address for the record.
Hi, is it my turn? Thank you. My name is Holly Cox. I'm here for the 3rd time because climate change, which always seemed like something that happened somewhere else far away, is now on our own doorstep. Just last month, our air here in New Jersey was dangerous for us to breathe from the Canadian wildfires, and just yesterday, torrential rains hit New York and Vermont and the Northeast, and these mudslides washed away entire roads, making certain areas inaccessible, likely for months. It's now obvious it's urgent we all do what we can to say no more fossil fuel projects which are dangerously warming our planet, polluting our air, and harming our health, and damaging our property and environment with stronger and more extreme storms. I'm here to ask you to please put it on your agenda and pass a resolution opposing the CPV Energy Frat Gas Power Plant in Woodbridge, which is less than 15 miles from you and your residents. You will be on the front lines and bear the ill health effects of asthma, pulmonary problems, cardiovascular disease, and cancer that come from breathing in and ingesting the 2.3 million tons of greenhouse gases and associated particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, and carcinogenic pollutants that this new plant will be spewing out every year. On its website, CPV touts itself as a leader in clean, sustainable energy. So why do they want to build a dirty, outdated frat gas plant in an already overburdened community? This is a pure corporate profit-making endeavor. The energy CPV will produce is not needed in New Jersey now, according to the BPU, so they will just be using New Jersey to pollute, then send the energy out of state. I hope you are mad about this. You and your residents are in the sacrifice zone. 15 other elected bodies have already approved the resolution opposing the proposed CPV power plant in Woodbridge. In Middlesex County, almost 50% of towns have formally expressed their opposition to this plant. You can help push this over the 50%, which would be significant. I'm here to ask you to please join them. It sends a powerful message if you, as leaders who have the power to affect change, speak out to protect the interests of your residents, say no to more climate and health-destroying fossil fuel plants in your backyard. I appreciate that your city is buying hybrid vehicles, so you know we need to transition off fossil fuels. Thus, passing the resolution against the new Woodbridge gas plant is in line with your goals. Climate chaos is here and only going to get worse. Acting to phase out fossil fuels is the most important thing you can do right now, so I ask you to please put the resolution against the Woodbridge gas power plant on your agenda and pass it. Thank you very much. Your residents say no to.
Thank you. I think we're next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your name and address for the record.
Sure, thank you. My name is Rachel Dawn Davis. I'm a New Jersey resident in nearby Monmouth County. And I traveled to the area as well as the area that was just spoken about in Middlesex County in my capacity as public policy and justice organizer for Water Spirit. Water Spirit is a Rumson-based 25-year-old nonprofit sponsored by the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace. We work to conserve, preserve, and honor sacred water through programs and advocacy. We support Plainfield working toward a smart city designation. We also work to advocate and orchestrate such that we have a lead-free New Jersey and sewage-free streets and rivers. So I appreciate those comments as well. I volunteer on my town's committees and I appreciate your service and the pride that I heard in the community tonight. I studied economics and over a decade ago, I toured the Northeast to educate representatives, decision makers like yourselves, to prevent the dangerous and costly investment in hydraulic fracturing or fracking, and really to just make sure that we ban it. In 2023, investing in any infrastructure that promotes the permanent contamination of our air is a bad way to prepare for the pyrocene, which is the fire equivalent of an ice age, as was talked about. This is the time in which we are disproportionately all living. New Jersey is no stranger to climate chaos, floods and fires and droughts, and we must now come together to support a livable future. Specifically, the alternatives to this project exist. They are not having a project. They are also solar siting throughout the state that, in spite of a charge to promote 100% renewable energy by 2035, has yet to be fully done by New Jersey at the state level. So it really is important that your leadership is demonstrated actively. It has come to my attention that Plainfield City Council has not yet taken any action regarding this proposed CPV, unnecessary dirty methane emitting plant, again in 2023. Namely, given the pride I heard tonight, I urge you to take action. 15 municipalities have passed a resolution against this project. This number is increasing through bodies of public health and education. And I'll close with this. Kids I met over 10 years ago educating about this realized immediately that water and air know no bounds, as we all know. Please demonstrate to your constituents, and especially your young people, that it is not just enough to be for the good energy.
Your time is up.
And out against.
Seeing no more anymore. Public comments are now closed. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any objections? Yeah.